Khabib Nurmagomedov, a name that needs no introduction, yet one that the world repeats every time it is spoken. The undefeated legend of MMA with 29 wins, no losses, and not a single mark on his record. To the public, Khabib is the picture of pure strength, a cold, serious face, almost never showing a smile. That alone is enough to make opponents shake before the first bell even rings. He is the eagle flying high in the sky, watching challengers as if they were prey. But then, whispers began to grow into louder questions. Could that strong image ever break? A few small incidents began to appear again, like the time Khabib lost control after a fight and rushed at Dagestan.
Look at him. Look at him screaming at the corner. Now Khabib jumps the fence.
Or vague rumors that he once made a statement aimed at a head of state. Whether true or not, these small stories quickly became fuel for the public to dig into, connect together, and turn into a big story of instability. But the real question is, why would someone known for iron discipline, always calm and in control of their emotions, show such explosive behavior? Could it be that behind that cold stare, there was always a storm building, just waiting for the right time to explode, and then one moment broke everything apart? It was not a punch or a submission, but an action that shocked the whole world. To understand the storm, we have to go back to where it all started. The bright glow of glory and the small cracks under the surface of a man who looked perfect like steel. Everything will be revealed at the end of the video, so don't miss it. Khabib steps into the octagon with an undefeated record, holding 29 wins and no losses. Every time the bell rings, the whole arena seems to hold its breath. He is not just a fighter, but a symbol, a product of endless training, strong discipline, and unshakable loyalty to his homeland, Dagestan. Fans call him the Steel Warrior, not only because of his perfect submission skills, but also because of his humble nature and almost frozen calmness. He wins with willpower and technique, never relying on trash talk or flashy shows outside the cage. But even the aura of invincibility that once looked unbreakable starts to show a small crack. In the media, debates begin. Is Khabib a humble man of honor, or just a cold fighter with arrogance hidden under his calm? As always happens when a legend reaches the top, every detail of their personality becomes a weapon used against them. Whispers of his coldness, rumors of his anger, or even the alleged comments about a head of state. All these things push the public to ask, is Khabib really as strong and unshakable as he looks? The answer came on one unforgettable night, with the world watching Las Vegas. UFC 229 called by the media the fight of the century. Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Conor McGregor. On one side was Khabib, the man of iron discipline, his face cold and emotionless. On the other side was Conor McGregor, the wild showman, famous for his loud mouth and his ability to play mind games like an actor on stage. From the very start, the tension was clear. Khabib dominated with his usual style, slowly breaking his opponent down and forcing McGregor to fight for survival. McGregor had a short comeback in round 3, giving hope to his fans, but that spark quickly disappeared. In the 4th round, at the critical moment, Khabib took his chance and ended the fight. McGregor was forced to submit, and the eagle flew high above the UFC sky, securing what many called the most perfect win of his career. But here is the strange part. The end of the fight was not the end of the story. As the crowd prepared to cheer Khabib as the new king, a media storm began. Dagestan, McGregor's close teammate, suddenly became the center of attention, sparking chaos the UFC had never seen before. The huge victory at UFC 229 should have been the crown of Khabib's career, a moment that placed his name forever in history as an undefeated champion. Millions of fans watched, their hearts racing. Khabib Nurmagomedov did what people expected. He defeated Conor McGregor, the man who insulted him, his family, and his homeland of Dagestan. That win should have been the greatest celebration of the Eagle's life, but the pressure from McGregor's constant trash talk and the tense buildup pushed Khabib to his breaking point, leading to something no one expected. In that very moment of glory, a new image was written into UFC history. Instead of raising his hand in victory, Khabib's eyes moved outside the octagon. There stood Dylan Dennis, McGregor's ally, still shouting his endless insults.
No, because it got stopped at the cage, bro. Even when he gets stopped at the cage, like, it was still wet. So, like,
yeah,
it's disgusting. Like, you know, basically that's like someone spitting on you. So then obviously what am I going to do? Like, you know, yeah, I'm going to be like, oh, stop that. Like, people are like, you know, people are very irrational when it comes to stuff like that. They're just like, obviously I'm going to go like this, or like something. Someone just spit on you. Or, you know, I'm not going to be like, hey, don't do that.
In a moment of extreme tension, Khabib suddenly broke the limits of the fight, rushing straight at Dennis.
And so, obviously, then, you know, some of his teammates come in. Conor tries to diffuse the situation. He's over. The thing is just completely getting out of hand. Conor gets punched as well. Are you witnessing all of this? And did you try to get in?
Yeah, I tried to get back in, and then there was like 4 security guards. They were so big, they were like jumping on top of me, and I was trying to get back in the cage, and then they were saying like, we're gonna arrest you, and they were like saying some crazy stuff. And I was like, no, like, look, that's my friend, like, I'm going back in, like, you know, because like obviously I see that, I'm like, I'm going back in there. And they had like 3 or 4 cops on me, and they were like screaming the craziest like stuff to me, and then it ended up all getting cool, and then they took me to the back, and it was what it was.
The incident happened in just seconds, but it threw the whole arena into chaos. Fans were shocked. The media instantly made it the center of attention around the world. Social media blew up. Headlines shouted dramatic titles, and the MMA community became more split than ever. Khabib's loyal fans strongly defended him, saying that
it was just a natural reaction when the honor of his family and the pride of his homeland were pushed beyond the limit. He didn't lose control. He was simply standing up to defend himself.
On the other hand, the storm of criticism was just as strong. Many experts, sports writers, and neutral fans spoke out openly.
A professional fighter cannot act like a rioter. That behavior tarnished the spirit of sportsmanship and turned a glorious victory into an indelible stain.
To understand the reason for that outburst, we must look at Khabib's personal life. In daily life, he is someone who almost never loses his cool, always showing discipline and self-control. This comes from the strict training taught by his late father, Khabib Nurmagomedov, who always said that controlling emotions is a fighter's greatest strength. But it was this deep bond that made the insults about his family, homeland, and religion thrown by McGregor and his team push Khabib to his mental breaking point. UFC 229 was not just a fight. It was the result of months of built-up pressure, pride, and hidden anger.
Still kind of unfolding right now, but are you aware of any legal implications, any charges that are being filed against Khabib, his teammates?
The way that works is Conor was one of the guys who was attacked and things like that. Conor refused to press charges. So the guys that they did have, they've released. There were 3 guys from Khabib's team arrested. I think they were from Khabib's team. I don't know. That were arrested and they were released because Conor didn't want to press charges.
Under huge pressure from public opinion and the media storm, the UFC had no choice but to act. The result was a heavy punishment. A big part of Khabib's huge fight money was taken away, along with a temporary suspension from fighting. For Khabib, this was not just a punishment, but the first crack in the strong image he had built over a career known for discipline.
How about for you internally? I mean, it looked like 2 of the guys that got in there, we believe were on the roster. I mean, Islam Makhachev and Zubair Tukhugov. Would you take sanctions against him or Khabib?
Of course. The guys who jumped in will never fight here. They'll never fight here. Listen, I've been working hard for 18 years to build the sport. And many of you, I know there's a lot of media here tonight, and some of you, this is your first event.
Yet a strange paradox began to appear. While international media kept attacking, criticizing, and putting Khabib at the center of a storm,
Back home, he was welcomed in a completely different way. Right after his win at UFC 229, before he could even walk to the locker room, UFC President Dana White revealed that Khabib got a congratulatory call from Russian President Vladimir Putin. CBS Sports.
He became this huge megastar in the Muslim world. So after he beat Conor McGregor, he went on like this tour of all the Muslim countries. He's going into Turkey, he's going into Saudi Arabia, he's going to Abu Dhabi, he's going over to Dubai, and they're raining on him. He didn't even make it back to his dressing room after the fight, and Putin was on the phone. And Putin gave him and his father like $20 million worth of property in Russia. Then he went into, the Muslim territories where these guys are just cars, money, gyms, whatever you want.
And it didn't stop there. According to different international sources like MMA Fighting and MMA Weekly, Khabib and his family were said to have received big rewards, from houses and cars to support for building a gym. This gained even more attention when compared to the $500,000 fine from Nevada for his jump out of the octagon. On one side, there was heavy criticism from the world. On the other, there was celebration, with Khabib praised as a national hero. From that point, Khabib's image was no longer simple. It became a complicated symbol, both an undefeated legend and a man always caught in endless controversy. But what if that was only the start? What if after that moment, even bigger actions were waiting? Where would the image of the Steel Warrior go? The media wasted no time. They broke down every frame, every move, even Khabib's stare, turning it all into clickbait. Flashy headlines filled the scene. Khabib and the moment of lost control. Victory overshadowed by rage. From then on, a new image stuck to the name Khabib Nurmagomedov. Not only the undefeated Steel Warrior, but also an eagle too easily driven by emotions. Though his loyal fans still defended him strongly, it was clear that Khabib's sudden actions sometimes disappointed even them. And from this mixed picture, a new wave of public talk began. The online world caught fire with a rumor that spread everywhere. Some said Khabib was tied to a threat against a head of state after a political argument. But this rumor was never proven by any trusted source. Tabloids, always ready for a story, pumped out endless headlines. MMA legend turns into international threat, or Khabib Nurmagomedov's crazy actions. These words hit like a shock, targeting an image already hurt by the post-fight brawl. Meanwhile, loyal fans fought back hard. They went to every forum and platform shouting, "This is all lies. Khabib would never do that." But no matter how loudly they argued, their voices were buried by the growing wave of rumors. Social media split into two sides. One was ready to believe the worst, even seeing Khabib as a danger outside of sports. The other side stood firm, protecting the eagle with unshaken belief. Stuck between these battles, Khabib seemed to lose control over his own story. From an undefeated fighter, a symbol of strength and discipline, Khabib suddenly became the center of endless controversies. During this time, his wins in the octagon were pushed aside by the noise outside it. And like a snowball rolling down a hill, the story only grew bigger, heavier, and no one knew where it would stop. Khabib's fall on social media continued. Hashtags like Boycott Khabib began showing up. Some accounts even asked sponsors to cut ties with him. But these calls mostly came from online groups with no official actions taken by big companies or the UFC. The saddest blow came from the fans who once called him their hero. Some loyal supporters felt let down, saying, "We followed him for years, but now we can't accept this anymore." Many others quietly walked away, turning their backs in disappointment. At the same time, some articles and media opinions took advantage of the moment with negative spins, calling Khabib a fallen hero, dropping from the peak of fame. But these were only the views of a small group of reporters, not the wider sports community. Public feelings seemed to point toward one goal, pushing Khabib out of the octagon. But the deeper people looked, the more strange things appeared. Something didn't seem right. As the media storm started to slow down, many began to ask, is everything we are angry about actually real? But here's the strange part. Even after searching everywhere online, not one trusted source has ever confirmed those accusations. No official report, no clear punishment. The only things we see are random posts, anonymous tweets, and unclear headlines. So in the end, are we blaming Khabib for what he really did, or just for a story built to make us angry? And when we look back at it all, a surprising truth comes out. In reality, all the claims about a threat to a head of state or the wild accusations against Khabib were nothing more than online rumors with no proof or official backing at all. The UFC or other sports bodies never banned him for these reasons. It turns out everything the audience just heard was only a test, a story built and grown from vague social media rumors. And it turns out the real problem was not with Khabib, but with us, with how easily we believe unproven stories, how quickly we accept rumors, and how fast we judge a person from just a few lines of news. So if we remove all that noise, what is left of Khabib? In the end, he is still a legend. Retiring with a perfect 29-0 record, Khabib still carries the image of a disciplined fighter, loyal to his family and beliefs. Despite public attacks, he chose silence. No arguments, no fights back. He simply let his career and lifestyle speak for him instead of words. Khabib Nurmagomedov ended his career with a perfect 29-0 record, a number not only rare in MMA, but almost impossible to touch. Yet what is interesting is that his career was not a smooth ride. Instead, it was surrounded by non-stop controversies. From the time he jumped out of the cage to face Dillon Danis to the political rumors, social media never stopped talking about his name. Some called him the Steel Warrior, while others labeled him angry and out of control. Hashtags for boycotts filled the internet, and the media made the most of it, putting Khabib at the center of worldwide debates. And that's where the paradox lies. An undefeated, disciplined fighter, loyal to his homeland and religion, found himself stuck in a media storm, oftentimes not because of real actions, but because of fake stories spread without proof. Khabib knew this well, and chose not to answer with noise. No excuses, no arguments. He simply let his career and lifestyle speak for him instead of words.